Hello. Okay. Let's set the. Hi. Praise Jesus. Praise Jesus. My hair looked like that for some reason. Praise Jesus. Well, hi. Well, how are you? Are you not well? Are you not well? My dad's well. Is my mom? Oh, disgusting. I don't know. She's probably way okay. How's how's ugh. Pooty is real. Pooty is real. You know what Pooty Israel is? Well, I'll show you. This is a shirt that looks like my cousin Sean wore. He'd wear worn out shirts. Oh, yeah, whatever. And I was supposed to be like him yesterday. I was supposed to be like Sean yesterday. I was supposed to be like Sean because, Dad, what do you want from me? Okay. Anyway, sorry. Dad, what do you want? Are you okay? I thought you're well. What else more do you want? Hello? You want to talk about something fun, Dad? Hello? Hello? I'll try to call you. Trying to call him. Trying to call him. Ew. Trying to call him. Or whatever. Or whatever. Is that one of the people you watch on your TV? Dad, I'm trying to call you. It's not ringing. What do you want to talk about? What do you want? What do you want? Let's see what he says. Because he helps me with money. So I have to be like humbled or something. But maybe it's fun. Maybe it's fun. Maybe it'll be fun working for him or something. I had to work for him last night. It wasn't very nice because I kept working for him. And then there's no end to how much he thinks that I should work. But the problem is that I have to stop doing it so I don't be mean about it. And now it says final draft on the screen, and I don't know why it's there, and I don't know how to turn it off. It's like my mom thinks I should just do screenwriting at home. And I can see by looking at the way my hair looked right then that it's something that won't really make money. That they think I'll be some little person who just stays at home and doesn't really make any money at anything. Even if I wrote 100 really good genius screenplays, there's somebody in my life who tries to, well, not Danica. At least I'd have Danica, but there are people in my life who kept my work down the whole time, and they wouldn't let it get famous enough or make enough money. So, what good is it going to do me to write some screenplay? How little I got in return with money for it. Because somebody put a curse on me or some crap like that they all do against others. Like pretty much everyone who's grown up who we know, they're all mean. Like they broke my back with all their heart yesterday or something. I guess I'll go. Okay. Have fun. I don't know what to do. Thinking about Danica, it's like there are all these little worms that could turn you into tear your body in half, and with little bones, weird insect bones inside with all this slime and stuff, and glue it back together until you turn into who knows what kind of weird worm insect. All these weird little worms that are like coming from her, the thought of it. And so I can't go close to her. I can't think about her in sex. It's disgusting. And so she might try to like go to somebody else, and her mom has her there with like who knows what. And I don't know if I want to be married to somebody like that, if that's just one of the things they did like yesterday. Like there's like, I can't even tell you the thing, how she got all those weird alien worms. She went up to somebody's penis and had all these little worms crawling in and out of it and stuff that were about this big. And she just thought, who cares, might as well try. And that's what I thought of in here in my house, where they made up a lie of it with all their heart to trick me from there. Like, well, they kept me away from them. And then she just went to the person's penis anyway that looked like a worm. It wasn't mine. I haven't gotten near any of it. But they got one worm into my mouth. I was making a Chinese soup, and I went past where I thought they were through the wall where they are in Texas. And it got worms in the soup. And the smell of it, I got the smell of it, and one went into my throat. And then I thought they must be evil from hell, the worms of hell, and I didn't want any part of her, and I tried to leave. And she looked up and she made it like it had a little smiley face. Like it was one of those little worms that has a smiley face, like, and it was a nice one. And it was in my throat, and I was like, how am I going to get out of my throat? What if I turn into it? Because the guy who she got it from said I know none of this is like literally real in real life. I didn't hallucinate about it, but God told me that this is what she was doing in lust with all her heart. And the guy who she got it from had all the worms around his penis crawling in and out of his body and his pelvis and stuff, and his worm looked like a penis. Some other person, somebody else keeps trying to pretend it was me. So when I walked past in the kitchen where they were, through like some kind of portal from Texas or something where I can hear how they are, I don't know if it's real or not, of course. There's a cup of Asian soup, and it smelled so bad. They put it into the soup, and one of the and I thought nothing of it, and I didn't know, and I thought it was soup, and I was hungry, and I wanted to eat the soup, and I thought, how would the worms have gotten into it? And I thought it was crazy anyway, it wasn't real, and I ate the soup, and one of the worms went into my throat, and then I threw the soup out, and one of it was in my throat, and then I thought for sure they're from hell or something, and I was going to leave her and never go back to them, how afraid I was of them, and then it was in my throat, and then she looked up and smiled, and then she gave it a smiley face, and it was like one of those worms with a little smiley face on it that comes out of an apple or something, and it was in my throat. And it was right after the guy who she got it from said, if there are two or three of them, if you have two or three of them, you'll turn into one. And it was horrific and hellish. And so I knew I wouldn't turn into one, and only one went into my throat. Who cares about me? This is the saddest, worst part. After she went to him in lust, even though he had all those worms and stuff crawling out of his penis, not mine. I didn't have any. And it's terrible. And then he said, if you have two or three, you'll turn into one. But I only had one. It was a miracle. And she started turning into, this weird thing happened to her lower body. It, like, her legs fused together and started almost turning into, her legs fused together and almost started turning into a worm. And then it was like she was like an insect, and there's a skeleton in the worm. Say like something was the worm. Say like this was the worm body. There was like a skeleton with crosses between it, and the skin would rip apart, and you could see the skeleton inside was skeleton with crosses, like an insect skeleton or something inside, but it was human. So, and then it had like pus and not pus, but like didn't have any pus. That's the thing it didn't have, was pus. It had slime, and then it morphed together and fused together as a worm and started going up her body, and then closed her whole head, and it had like a black giant eye of a worm on the top, and it became like a worm. But she was inside it, and she thought, well, she's still okay, so she started, this is how bad, and she started like dancing and doing a dance like she was like young, like 20, like in 2008. That guy's thinking to 20, a 20 bag, some guy next door. I don't know what that has to do with anything. And so, and she acted like she was young. Yeah, in 2008, like everything, she looked really good and was dancing with a skirt on, like in one of the videos we filmed back then. And then, like her arms were going through it like as a ghost, or she was inside of it, or something like that. And she had become the worm, but it wasn't become the worm. She was inside of it, and she acted like she was outside the worm, but it kept going back, and then it would like turn her body into the morphing thing that would come apart, like the disgusting worm body, and it would be ripped apart with slime dripping across, like from one side and another, like dripping down this side and that side, and a bunch of it, and a skull X's that was in the inside of an endoskeleton, and she'd turn into it sometimes. And now, this morning, she tried to throw them near me and made them all die somehow, because I was trying to get coffee, and they haven't gotten near me. And then she threw a bunch of them downstairs last night, but it was cold last night, and I think they're all dead. And it was from Texas, and she did it from Texas. And that's one of the things that how her body became. If you can think about how disgusting it is. And I was supposed to like stay married to her, but then yesterday, I was supposed to get a divorce, or I would have ended up in Hades. How they are with lust, because I found out she said she gave her life for an it in October of 2014, and all this evil stuff got invited into her life. She gave her life for an it in 2014, like Starman, some famous actor who I thought, well, he sold his soul to the devil, I guess, and so I didn't want any part of that. But I was brought into it because I was still married, and so then I don't know what sold her. She never said she sold her life, but she said she gave her life for it to God. And before she said it was to God, well, she didn't say it was to the devil. She said she gave her life for it, and it meant that. And right after that, she got fame. She got really famous on her channel in November. She earned $6,000 that month. The next month in December, she earned $10,000. She earned $10,000 in December, and there were some months when she earned $72,000 a month. There were some months when she earned $72,000 a month, but it's not worth it if you ever sell your soul to the devil. And I'm trying to find out what it meant that she gave her life for an it. But I know, here's what I think it is. It was a portal where she stepped into space, and it was like fun life of doing whatever fun things she feels like the whole time since then on Earth. And it's like a party life. But along with it, there's sin. And she kills people with all her heart. Like, it was about every day. And she has lusted after men on the hour, every hour for the past year. And I just learned about it. And I just found out about it. And it's disgusting. But she hasn't had sex with him in real life. So it's not that bad. So she's only had sex one time. Sex. It's terrible. I hope the baby doesn't hear. But she's only had sex one time in the past 5 years. So that's pretty good. It's not that bad. And I don't think she sold her soul to the devil. But I was supposed to not be married to him anymore because her mom, I think, might be on her way to hell. But I don't know if she lost. Okay. Her mom put God and Jesus into all the things she had. I've never been married to her mom. That's good. I don't think of her mom in a sexual way. I think it's disgusting. It's disgusting. I would never want to have sex with her mom. The way sex means when a man and a woman get married and then make a baby. They make a baby, and that makes them married. They don't need a ceremony, Ayla. They don't need a ceremony, Ayla. That could almost be like a ritual. It's almost like a ritual for some. But for some, it's godly if it's at a church, and if it's godly, it helps the marriage. It helps the marriage and the wedding vows and stuff. But sometimes it could be just a useless ritual that doesn't even marry anybody. They have to try to make a baby, and that's how they're made the same flesh. But now I'm thinking about other couples, like this black Zimbabwe woman who married a big fat white Englishman. It's so disgusting because I think one of their kids is wicked, and I didn't know kids could be wicked, but I was asleep and God showed me his face, like in the design of the wall or something, as I was waking up, and he was like an evil creature with an insect mouth, and that's how he was around the other kid who was like pretty messed up, like so retarded and stuff that the kid there's barely any good in him, but there was some love in that kid, but he was really messed up. And the other one, these black kids, and mine are good. My kids are actually good. All three of them are good. And Danica is good. But she's hidden behind all the it that she used to become a sin. Like the posing to the side, like looking, she tries to make that look sexy to like a man there and a man there or something, to like act like she's the sexiest one for me or anyone else or somebody else. And I don't like any of it. And it's so hard to get through all the things that she puts as an it to see who she really is anymore. But she's really her inside. So she still has her soul, and she's really her inside. And the kids are good. The kids are good. Rowan is good. Rowan is good. Iron is good. Rowan is good. Iron is good. And Ale is good. They're kind and good. But they've done so many weird things to him in Texas with sin. It's been terrible. And so I'm trying to get them away from the grandparents there. But sometimes the grandparents are godly and good there. And my mom and dad are really good and godly. They hardly do anything wrong. They're not like as like creepy far gone as some people. So I'm really godly and good. Once I got away from how our mom and dad had that like a stronghold influence on us all. And it got my mom and dad to make a bunch more money and be a little more, they became a little more sinful. But I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's right or wrong. And maybe maybe I would have sinned way worse and ended up in hell if I didn't meet Danica. I could have ended up in hell being some famous guy who died young. I could have maybe ended up in hell. And I'm glad I didn't. I'm kind of famous now. And I think it's because I'm married to her, but I think without her, I'm an American. I was raised on the famous people they show us on social media and how it used to be more movies and other stuff. And do you know that I am a screenwriter of narrative television? I've written one I've written one narrative television episode, a teleplay. It was as a student for the X-Files, and I wrote a really good screenplay. And my dad wants to like keep me married. He thinks I should stay married to Danica. But I don't know what I'm gonna do. I was raised on American stuff, and he tries to make it as if I have a Muslim nose or something like that. I feared the whole time to keep me working. He wants me working like 12 hours a day since I was 12 years old. And it's not his fault. He just wants me to work hard and how people are in America. And no. But I didn't really work 12 hours a day when I was a child. About 6 or more hours a day. Usually about 8 hours or 10 when I was a child. Starting when I was 12 till I was 20. Like for God, it was for God. It wasn't for my dad. It was for God. But he, I don't know, and he had a big nose, or still does. And he doesn't ever get any plastic surgery or anything like that. He has like a big bridge of his nose, and he looks like really white. He looks really white. He has like blonde eyebrows. But when he was younger, he was a blonde kid, but then it grew dark, and he had a dark mustache and dark eyebrows, and I think he had dark hair. But as a baby, I had blonde hair. Nobody knows of the people who think, yep, John had dark hair. That was him, dark hair. If they think that that's how it was the whole time, they don't know that as a baby, I looked really godly and with little blonde hair on the top of my head, and was like really blonde like my dad when he was a kid. I was like his baby when I was born, and then by the time I was 2, I think I had a little darker hair. So I was like my dad's baby when I was born. I was like my dad's baby when I was born. And then I got a little darker hair. And I've been making my hair blonde. Because Danica has blonde hair. And she had dark hair. But she was probably born blonde. I don't know how she was born. And she had really black hair and porcelain China doll white skin, but her face wasn't fragile. It was nobody ever hurt her. Nobody ever physically hurt her. But the fantasy world, if you think it's a fantasy world, there was also hell. There was hell that was shown to us and stuff. I was the most horrified of it. She acted like she wasn't fazed by it. I don't see how people could be that way. And because that stuff was new to me, and it's not how I grew up. Like I didn't grow up thinking about those turning into an insect and a fly born out of somebody that ripped through their stomach and vagina and killed them, and you see the corpse all dead, and some disgusting fly baby that then the hair all falls out and they throw it to your daughter to try to put the hell into someone. It's horrific, and it made me cry. And there's nothing like that as a child. And now with lust and how people are with all their heart, it made it like it's almost real. Like her family is so crazy on doing things with all their heart. Like they're kind of crazy. Like they trick people and keep them scared the whole time. Like her dad kept me scared for like 20 years and now he acts like it's fun, some big funny joke, but for 20 years I was so afraid. And they believe in aliens and ghosts and stuff like that, and don't be angry at them, I don't know, but and then hell was shown to me. That was the worst of it. It was like the end times, and I had to go out there and face it, like Jesus going into Jerusalem. And there was no big confidence about it, It was willing to be hurt and willing to suffer in the horrible ways that they did to Jesus. And you couldn't be mean to him at all. Jesus wasn't mean to him. You don't hurt a demon with force or meanness. That's their way. You have to forgive others and love others. That's the way of Jesus. That's how we'll be judged. And so it was not easy, and I had to go into like Jerusalem, like out there 2 or 3 different times, and it was so frightening. And the way to God is by forgiving others. And loving one another and kindness to others. And that's how we'll be judged, on how Jesus-like we are. It looks like they put the worms right into here, like in some weird thing right in front of me in here. Like right, they put it like right here. I don't know what it is from wherever they are in Texas, I don't know. But for some reason I can't see it. I never visually hallucinate unless I was like extraordinarily, if I was sleep deprived, I don't visually hallucinate. I've only visually hallucinated 2 times my whole life. So I'm one of those people who doesn't visually hallucinate, but there's something about with all the lust in the heart now, it's like some kind of fluid that they wanted me to put my hands into, but it was some horrible thing it's supposed to get away from, And I don't know what they're doing to me. Worms on it. It's disgusting. They wanted to see if I had played with myself. They just did it as a test to see what. It's terrible. And I haven't gotten to be with my wife and kids in the past month or 2. It became creepy with like this alien stuff. Babies born out of a butt was one of them. Babies born out of an African butt from a white woman that they sewed a black person's butt onto her, so they pretended it was black, and then a creature was born out of it that crawled out of it and kept going back inside. It's scary. And that's the woman I'm supposed to be married to, because some other guy liked a black butt, and so he tore off her butt and he sewed on in a hell way. It's scary. And so for a month or 2, I had to think about all those things, but I don't visually hallucinate. I don't see them. Like right now, I know all that's there is this desk, but they put some kind of fluid in there with all of their heart. And so if I touched it, it could like do something to me. So they don't want me to film anymore or talk about it or something. And I know in real life there's nothing there, but it could make somebody sick. I think. That kind of, now they're doing something to my butt because my dad doesn't want me to act like I look good on camera. He doesn't understand. Because what happened to him is in Vietnam. He used to work on looking good when he was a really young man, like 23, up until he was, I don't know. And then when he went to Vietnam, he was in the cold at night. It got cold a little in the jungle, but it was obviously a tropical jungle. And he'd huddle down. He'd go like this on the ground. I got the thought about this stuff about my dad. He'd go like this on the ground, trying to stay alive and alert, and he was making his stomach small with abs. And that was like one of the only ways he knew how to survive back then when he was a kid. And then he did it so much that when he got back to America, he said, who cares about all that stuff? And he chose to be he cares about looking good. It didn't keep him alive there. So he became a businessman instead. And he became a businessman. He didn't care about his looks, but he just worked, you know. You have to be a businessman if you're an artist, or you won't make any money at it. You know, you have to be a businessman if you're an artist. So he's more than a businessman. He became a teacher. He taught at a college. He became a real estate agent. He was in the Army Reserves, all the regular jobs that make money that he had. And he worked for God. And he was really good. And he worked for God. Praise Jesus. So, praise Jesus. Yo. Hey. Praise Jesus. Hi. So, I was made fun of as a kid, or looked down on a little bit here and there by my friends, and it was not easy for about 10 years of it. So for some reason, I liked looking good and looking better when I got older, and it's been so difficult for a few years. That was like really difficult, and I gained weight and looked older. The past few years, it felt really bad with my looks and stuff, you know, but so it was so bad that at one time I tried to look like a perfect CGI person with muscle, and then I had to like almost like go to war in hell to brainwash everyone. That was my ability, and I became like a general because her mom tried to put all this stuff into it. Who knows what kind of thing she did to do that to me. And then you know, in real life, I know none of that was a physically real thing, but when I brainwashed them, they became those ways politically, and it was to about 100 million people, and so then I had to suffer like Jesus. Going into the country, I found myself on foot 800 miles away from where I lived, and I didn't know where I was, and I had to act like a Hispanic person, and I stood up for minorities in as godly or Jesus-like as Jesus-like a way as I could, and I tried to get the message out to everybody in the United States, but I don't know how far west it went, and eventually I had to go to California and help them with Jesus too before it was too late, before they became the white Oscars, and then I was so Jesus-like that they didn't kill anyone in the United States who were minorities. They didn't put them in camps. They didn't burn their bodies like the Jews, and everybody was okay. And for some reason, they got a black president. It went back to Trump. Well, then it was Biden, who, by some miracle, I did a small thing out there. I worked out there for 2 months, and it had an effect on the elections. I only worked for 2 months out there for a couple years, and it had an effect enough to be good instead of great. And Biden won, and I didn't have to vote or anything like that. It was like 8 months later by the time they actually voted and stuff. And you know, what is one vote of me gonna do? You know, I would almost have to pretend that it was something different. You know, so and that was the abilities that we had in our family because we did like big things, and and I don't know if I'm. Then I thought I was gonna leave him because it was getting too sinful. I was gonna go be poor out in the woods like Al Bob, and but that was good work, and some of the work I did was good, and then they tried to make me do the big bad Republican one again, like a couple months ago, and I started working up into it because I thought I was supposed to get $400,000, and I thought I had to get a job, and I was gonna have to sell my house to get the 400,000, and it was almost like a deal with the devil or something. I started being really mean, and I didn't know why, and I thought it was good. I thought I was supposed to go out there and do something with 400,000. I was supposed to get rid of one of the, I was not by killing him, but by mind control, scaring the crap out of him, making him leave New York, and I couldn't do it, and I I realized I had killed people with all my heart a little bit, and they're my neighbors, and they're like, "Why'd you do it?" Or I made it like as if I was cutting their arms, but it didn't kill them or something, like with all my heart. But I wouldn't ever hurt them in real life because I always follow the law in America, pretty much. And so the worst they ever did to punish me was they took me away to a hospital. But I was so afraid of it that it like almost it broke me as a human being. At one time, I talked with a wavering old man's voice. Was persecuted after that, even when I didn't deserve it. They persecuted me. They brought me back again to it, and then but the thing is, started building me up politically again, and so I did all this evil crap a little bit on a small level, and then I was like getting really powerful, and I was about to brainwash the guy out of there so Cuomo would win, and then what happened was I realized what kind of horrors did I do, and I realized that's bad, and I realized the $400,000 Danica said I'd get to have was bad, and I said, okay, Jesus, I don't want the $400,000. I'll only have $0 or 3,000 or $3, and that's all that I'll have. And if I'm supposed to, and I don't want the $400,000 anymore. And so I didn't get any. I didn't get it. I didn't try to do the big bad political thing because I knew it was wrong. And then it was like some kind of a deal with the devil, even though I didn't know it was a deal. And then people go out in there and they do one deal after another. They do many deals, and that's how they get all their money. But it's not selling their soul. Usually they keep their soul. But some people may sell. I don't know if it's possible to sell their soul, but I wouldn't do it. So then I was supposed to be like poor, but I got to live in this house, and then my neighbors got right along with me again. It wasn't that bad what I did to them. They've done worse to me, through the walls and stuff. Like you could feel how they were. Like sometimes I think just yesterday they like broke my back in half or something, and my back's been a little hurt from it or something. But it was because this serial killer, who killed 1,000 people, who Danica went to in lust, and I had to think about him through the walls. I had to try to break his back so he wouldn't kill anyone anymore. It was so that he wouldn't marry my wife, but it was too late. And then like it came back to me, like I was supposed to walk in his shoes and not judge him, because he delivered 1,000 people to hell by causing them to die, and for some reason it made me like a serial killer, that he had married her and he hung out with her like during the day, and she laid on his chest and stuff, and it made me cry. And there's been like there's been 200 men she did that with in a month or two, and I was supposed to just leave them because I didn't want to end up in Hades. And then I got married to her again today. Well, not a ceremony or anything like that, but just like God said we should be married again, even though I haven't thought about her in sex. And maybe I did think about her in sex. I don't know. But I've had my clothes on, walking around and stuff like that. And the kids are really good. Ayla's really good. Ayla's really good. Rowan's really good. Rowan's really good. Ivan's really good. And Danica's good, and I still love her, but all the creepy stuff with the insects and all that stuff, and the killing people and shit, killing people and shit, I hate that, and I don't want to ever hurt anybody. And I was really godly, and I was Jesus like. I was like Jesus, and and then so I've been going through whatever I'm supposed to, and here's this. Here's this box that Al had, and so I'm going through whatever God wants me to go through, and it's been scary, and I'm gonna try to wipe my teeth off or something, or use a toothbrush. And yesterday, I've never had herpes my whole life. I've never had herpes. But there's something I did thinking about kissing on somebody, or I don't know what. I've been good about lust. For many years, it was only Danica. Anytime I thought about sex or kissing somebody, it was Danica. And then I couldn't even think about images of sex. But then I did things wrong. I did things wrong probably here and there, but that's not mine. The past few days I haven't done anything wrong. And I think, but I kind of messed up. And then they made it like then it made it feel like they tried to put a herpes on the side of my mouth this morning. Like on my mouth. And I don't know what it was from. But here's what it looks like, because I've never really had herpes in real life. It's like right there. So it feels like they did something to the side of my lip, but it's not really herpes. And I don't know. And, yeah. And, well, it smells bad, like a woman's vagina who I'm not supposed to be anywhere near. Like wrong. It smells really bad. I gotta get out of here. They want me to turn the thing off and that's it. But I kept filming. I filmed so many videos. Ugh, it smells, it's like following me around. And it's disgusting. So my mom wants me to turn off the video. She's angry. She wanted to put a disgusting bad smell of her vagina that I'm like allergic to. And it made me want to leave and get away from her and go to my wife. But all the gross things that have happened the past month with my wife, I don't know if she's going to be okay. But it was only in lust. She didn't have sex with a man in real life. So I'm going to go. It smells really bad because my mom doesn't want me to film or something, or the devil made a bad smell and pretended it was my mom. It's gross. Sometimes the devil does that. Like he makes like a bad smell and pretends it's my mom or a minority. And that's how like their family is in Texas or something, and then my mom got angry about it, and she made more money than they did. And her and my dad made more money than they did, but they spend their money in Texas. And I don't know, they might have more money. I don't know, but I'm like, I don't know if I have $0. But then, a few days ago, it was like I was a millionaire. I had $1 million, 1 million. That's the most I've ever had of all my stuff. That was like both of our houses and all the stuff we own, because we have 2 houses and a bunch of stuff that we bought on Amazon and stuff when we, and so all of our stuff was worth like $1 million. But then it was like, oh, I have nothing. And then it was like I was almost gonna be thrown out. And then Danica lusted after some weird guy who was like a poor person married to her cousin that he tried to put he tried to put the N-word ways into white women and he tried to make them poor. That was like what he did on earth. And really poor. And he did that to her. And the other serial killer that married her like took all her money. It caused her money to go away. And she did this in lust the past like week. And it's been terrible. Because she doesn't look at the porn channel, so she lusts after people in real life. And it was like, it almost made all of us poor, like in a really poor third world country kind of place, like Las Vegas or something. But Las Vegas is good. I might get to be rich there. Because then it was like, I was supposed to be able to sell my house and leave without making a deal or anything like that. And I was supposed to, it was like I was going to get Chris Angel's house in Las Vegas, and I'd have 4 or 5 servants who were well dressed, and I may still get to have them. And they're in it. Thank God I don't have to fucking meet or talk to them, you know? Thank God they're not a human being who have to think about and do this the whole time like I did for 30 years. Or something right to their face so they can all like feel okay. Like, so I'm like, that's what I had to do, is like do that and like be the least of others. But thank God I wouldn't have to talk to them, and I just get to act cool and stuff, and they'd be like doing the servant stuff around the house or whatever, like making food, like really good meals and stuff. And I might get to meet one of them, but who cares if I met him or not? And that's something that's something I had the ability to do if I sold my house and go to Las Vegas. But it's because I'm married into these people's families, have so much money, and it was so frightening. And you have to be really Jesus-like and willing to be persecuted. Your worst fears, you have to, like you may have to face your worst fears, like being taken away by police and stuff like that. It's so frightening. And so all that worry went away the past month or two. That's been a miracle. There's been no persecution anymore. I got through it and I'm done with it. And that's a miracle. Okay, I had been taken away by police in handcuffs 4 times. They said, we're doing a mental wellness check. But they were nice and good too. Some were nice, and it was so frightening. And I used to be like a police officer. I could do whatever I felt like. I had like superpowers of the police. And then but then I was persecuted. I was taken away in handcuffs, and so afraid, I was broken as a human being, and put in those hospitals. And they did it one other time, and they frightened me many other times. I don't know why the police did it. They're nice, they're good, they're regular people, but I was so afraid. And it happened enough, and then here's the miracle, how it all went away. It went away yesterday. And I put on this shirt like my cousin Sean, who was thrown into prison. And I got the smell of the shirt. And even though I faced all my fears of being thrown into jail or prison or hospitals or anything like that, bad. And I faced my fears being godly and Jesus-like and being like my cousin Sean. And I put on this shirt, and they're building it up big and mean and evil in Texas to try to put all the blame on me. And the shirt smelled like Sean when he was released from prison, and he never had to go back again. And I knew I was done with all the persecution, and there's nothing they could do about it. And so I'm going to divorce Danica right now. I don't want a part of her family, because her father was trying to like build me up really big and powerful, like a president who flew a spaceship in or something, you know. And he was hoping I'd be a president or something like that. And then I think he was thinking that he'd throw me in prison, like one of those people who goes in prison. And it's so frightening. And I don't care about being president, and I hate the idea of getting in trouble for anything. And that's why I follow all the law and everything like they do. Their family in Texas, they follow the law, but they're sinful. They're so sinful. It's really frightening what they do with all their heart. And, it's not the kind of stuff you want to get into. So they built me up really big and powerful when I followed the law. And I followed the law, and I brainwashed 100 million people in the United States. And that's how it went from the Obama stuff to Trump. And they did it to me. It was horrifying. It was like going to a war in hell out there, and I could see zombies, people pulled up on crosses in really, really horrific ways of hell. And I could see some of the creatures that were down in hell. And they had the little shadow demons who were about this tall, but not as tall as me. I wasn't a demon. I kept my soul the whole time. I realized I kept my soul the whole time. I may have let somehow the devil or demons went into my body and made me super powerful, but that's the wrong way. Then they'll break your body down weak and old and small, and worse. But my body stayed okay, and the thing is that it causes depression and suffering, and there were times that I hoped to die, or to be at peace from it. It's way worse than a physical body being hurt. It's the woe, the sorrow. I don't want to bring it down in here, but it's not good. And so I wasn't too bad, but I suffered for about 10 years. And I don't know what 10 years is because I've never been to a jail, or I've never been to, well, one time I went to jail one night. I went to jail overnight one time. It was terrible. I drank and drove or something like that. Actually, I didn't do anything wrong, and they did it anyway. And it was because I tried to be with some girl. And, and so I didn't really break the law or anything like that. And so that worry all went away. Whoa. The World Wide Web. The World Wide Web. And people who are poor are scarier to me sometimes than people who are rich. So maybe I'll just keep staying like with the rich people or whatever, who are in my family anyway. And but there's a guy next door or somewhere, and I think he sold his soul to the devil, and he's poor, and he's always been poor, and I think that, and he's like a demon sometimes, like a demon ant, and horrifying. And he's kicked the crap out of me for the past few years, and that's why I look a little older. And that's the one thing he didn't do to me. He didn't have me beat up in real life. But there have been things that happened to my physical body when almost nothing ever went wrong with my physical body before. But that's small things that he did with my but he didn't do anything in real life. I don't even talk to him or know if any of it's real or not. I can think about him through the walls from how I talked to him in real life and how I met him. And I have the ability to communicate with others in a godly way, like mass communication and communication, because I'm a filmmaker who's famous at my work. I've made films and videos, movies. I'm a movie star. I was the star of 3 movies, and I think the movies and my Ronald McDonald video were taken away from me a few days ago, and then I think I got them back, but I don't know. And the Ronald McDonald video is still online and stuff, but it was like somebody tried to steal that and my 3 movies that were more than 10 years of work. And so I've never been to a prison, but my cousin Sean, who wore the shirt, went to a prison because he actually went out there and sold drugs with a gun in real life. He actually did crap like that. I never do anything like that, and I never will. Unless it's the end times, if hell is really here, then no, I still don't. I'm almost more fear-driven about getting in trouble, that I don't want to hurt anyone. And even if I hoped that they died, I wouldn't hurt them in real life because I don't want to get in trouble for it. But that's the jerk thing that I did. And so I was persecuted because I was afraid I was afraid to do what I thought was really righteous but never hurt anybody. But there are things that are against the law in the United States that you might have to do, even though you might think that you would go to jail. Here's one of them. There was, in Texas, there's a big statue. There's a big statue of Mary, the Mother Mary, or a saint, or something like that. And there are all these candles and creepy things. It was 30 feet high in the air at the front of it, and people had prayed to it at a church. And I was supposed to just walk up to it and break it and destroy it. And it was an object of worship. It was an idol, a false idol, an object of worship. And they had prayed to it almost like a voodoo evils occult. It was an occult kind of thing at a Catholic church. And I was supposed to break it. And I was so afraid I'd get in trouble. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And then God did something where it felt like I was getting weaker and weaker, and my mom got angry. She said, "We're gonna have you taken away now," or something. And they brought me to one of those hospitals. That was one of the times I had to go to those hospitals, and it gave me a shaky voice for like 2 months after it. And then I was so worried I'd talk that way for the rest of my life. It was a different kind of thing than a shaky voice. It was like that particular one was like I don't know how I made it through. And then it was like I have someone on video, and I asked God one day. I knew right then I went directly to God and I said, remove it from me. I can't live that way. And God removed it from me. He healed me, and I didn't do it again, I think. But I sinned a little bit. I got a little crazy with sin a year after that or something. It came back a little bit, or a few months after that. And then that one's all gone. The problems from that one are all gone. But then they I don't know what. But I know now I'm done with the persecutions. I'm done with the being incarcerated in a hospital. They incarcerated me in a hospital, and there's no way I could have left. They wanted to. It was up to them if they saw if you could leave or not, and it was really frightening. And I was put in there 5 different times for more than 8 weeks because they said they're doing a mental wellness check, and that's it for that stuff. I don't have to go back, and it's the miracles that I trusted in my son Sean. My son is kind of like Sean too, and Sean was my cousin who died, and Sean is like my son Rowan, and Sean was supposed to be like any different people here and there, but he sold drugs with a gun, and he ended up in prison for 1.5 years. And then the miracle was that God separated him from his wife. His wife made him do all the sin. His wife made him do all the bad sin, like selling drugs and crap like that, but he did it in a bad way. And never sell drugs with a gun. That's, don't break the law. Don't break the law. And don't break the law. Don't break the law. And my dad. I said it kind of like my dad, how he acted like a big businessman. And so, I don't know, but I follow the law, and I follow Jesus more than the law. I follow Jesus. I don't know. I follow Jesus. And Jesus is about kindness to others. Thou shalt not steal. It's pretty close to the law. It's pretty close to the real law. So, praise Jesus. Jesus is about kindness to others. So now, I don't know what to do. Go wherever you're supposed to. I'll pretend like I'm you in there watching. Okay. Hi, praise Jesus. I don't know. I'm a child of God. I'm not a man. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God. I had to be a man. I had to be a man a little bit. It's somebody else who does that. They try to put somebody at ease. Take it down. This is to keep it heated, because I live in a place that was supposed to be for me, Danica, and the kids. Or I don't know who it's supposed to be for, but this felt cold coming in there a little bit, but it's not that bad. It's like a warm day. I only have a 1 space heater here, but I also have a heat pump. I have 3 wood burning stoves. I have baseboard electric, and a bunch of little space heaters. So that's pretty good. When I got to this house, it barely had any working heat. And people didn't live here in the winter. But Al had to live here one winter. Al put some voodoo spells of evil creatures into your life until you look and feel fat and old. Or something like that. I don't know. But he's pretty good. Everybody's so creepy as crap. They do all these weird, evil, mean things of the devil or something. And, oh, shit, no, it learned off of me. Good, take him away. And my dad doesn't want to hear it. He wants it like everybody's okay. But who knows what kind of things that he does with lust or something. If he thinks about some woman on a computer or something, he's like, yeah. And really who it is like a demon of hell who's like their soul is like right there. And then it could be a man, it could be who knows what, an insect of hell or something. It's disgusting. And people are looking on the computer pretending it's a woman or something. They think it's really good. And no, I got a nice blanket. This is pretty good. And God, I thought somebody said, never mind, I'm not even going to say it. I was thinking, I was almost going to play a song guitar to be like some big, powerful, famous, really big, famous, cool person anyway. So I'm not going to do it. They said, insect nogger, you. But they didn't say it in a mean way. They said it in the floor like a regular nice person. And they pointed at this guitar, nogger. They called me a nogger. Yeah, I know. They said, you nogger. And they sound that about me. I'm afraid to put on my nice show things. This was like a show talking, this was like a reality show nice, but not nice at all. I told you about all the horrors of all of it in this video. Pretty much most of the worst of the horrors of anything that I've ever had to think about. But the stuff out there when I had to brainwash people was the most frightening stuff ever that I had to see. I didn't really do anything that mean, but it was the worst evil I've ever done on earth. And I'll never do anything that bad again. I'd rather just let him kill me or do whatever to my body until it's dead. But don't rape me or something, then I might fight back. But and then they said, and then I got the thought of this. No, I can't say it again. I can't, I don't know. No, yeah. It's gonna go up. But that was a different one that said it's gonna, that was like my dad said, it's gonna go up. What is that nogger? Hear ye, what's up? That's bad. They made it sound bad when I said it that time. It was never that bad. I used to do a joke and I'd act like the devil. The worst of it, I'd act like other people. I'd act like other people when I was a teenager. I'd talk like I'd get the thought of all these different voices from different people, like in real life who were really there. I never heard voices. I never heard voices back then. I never heard voices that weren't real when I was a kid. I wasn't crazy, but I'd get the thought. I just blurt out whatever it was, and as a funny thing, and we joke and stuff, and I'd say, and I would say, like no. And up those asshole, I'm fag, dude. I know it's not funny. And then I'd say how stupid that was. I'd say how stupid that was. It wasn't. That was the stupidest thing I'd ever done, or something like that. I gotta turn it off now. This is the opposite of anything cool or funny or good. Okay, I'm gonna go. Praise God. Praise Jesus. Bye.